So, hello again from the PowerPoint presentation. I will say some things here, the general overview, and then in the next video we are going to see some more specific things because I have understood through my experience that if we don't go through the scientific publications, most of people don't really go through them, and it's really important to go through them because the Distal method is a new paradigm, and you will not be able to understand it if you don't read everything about it. It needs work, and one of the first things I tell everybody, and what everybody does not do, is study the material. And everybody is like, yeah, okay, everybody says that. And after some hours or some sessions, if it's a live certification program, everybody's like, oh, you were right. Oh, what should we do now? So study all of the material. It's something new. Okay. If it isn't something new, okay, blame me, but please do now. So, method and methodology. Not, please, people, not of your training session, the method and the methodology of the Distal method, coach development program for tennis. So the method and the methodology, or the methodology and the method for the full Monty, okay, for the Distal method, not for a specific session. That's not about periodization or something like that, macro periodization, mini periodization, and so on. So what is the difference between method and methodology? First of all, uh, the method is how to do something. It's the steps you should follow. The methodology is how to find the steps, how to do something. So methodology is first and the method follows. We don't have a method if we don't have a methodology to create, okay, to make a method. Again, let's see some differences between the outcome and the process. The outcome is the method, and the process is similar, is analogous to the methodology. So we will examine here in this and the next video which methodology makes the Distal method great, but not what the method itself is. We will see the general overview. What the method says is, of course, what the rest of this course is all about. So you will have plenty of opportunities to study the method. So let's see some epistemological or methodological problems. Okay, so maybe for sure you have never heard these before, and these are the same whether you're studying quantum mechanics or medicine or whatever. And I'm talking here as an epistemologist. Okay, so Latin derived languages are anti-theoretical. They mix truth and reality, whereas these two are two very different things and relevant things. In classical antiquity, in ancient Greek times, they were fully separated. There are problems with theory as well, because Greek language differentiates between theoricy and theoria, which is theory and perspective, and in English we only have one word, that is theory, also in Latin, also in German, and so on. But you cannot mix the abstract archetype with the perspective. You can't call both as theory. The basic linguistic mode, which is modus indicativus, indicative mode, is not the same as in Greek. It's a completely irrelevant one. There is no word in English to describe the Greek. If there were a word, that would be a really easy word. It would be something like modus definitivus, definitive mode. So yes, you have to study a bit to understand difference. For me, it's obvious. When you use a language that as a basic mode has modus indicativus, it's like you accept reality is all there is, so you indicate things out there. So when you say this is an apple, you indicate something that really exists. But when you use as your linguistic vehicle a language that has definitive mode, you accept that you don't know what the world is, that there is the fraud of the senses, you can't access reality directly, but voila, in front of you something appears. What is it? You say, you define it, what appears in front of you, as an apple. Whatever it might be, you don't really know, it's the fraud of the senses. So we have science that is created in cultures that speak Latin derived languages and they use indicative mode. And you have episteme, which was created, and it's the progenitor of science. Science should be its continuation, but it isn't. But anyway, so in episteme, you have a definitive mode. So you define things, and this is the suitable language to do theory. And then you have the issue of structure. Okay, if you asked a Greek guy how is dome in English, they'd say it's structure. But in English, you have two kinds, let's say, of structure, structure and structuring. But in Greek, you have four structures, four different words for structure, four domes. So let's see them. So we have dome, which is structure, and this is the abstract archetype. We have δομική, which is structuring in English, which is the abstract layout of how to construct something. We also have δόμηση, which in English is again structuring. It's there doesn't exist another word for it. So δόμηση is how one constructs something in reality, actually, with their hands or machines. And we have δόμημα. Again, the English translation is structure, and δόμημα is the final material construction, what you can hold, or if it is a dance or if it is a performance like sports, it's the performance that you actually see or perform. Okay, all these domes, all these structures, plus the analytic method is the methodology of the distal method. But what is the analytic method and what is the dome, the structure? You should go here and read in this journal, Epistemis Metron Logos, published by the National Documentation Center of Greece. You should read the article on the methodology of the analytic method, historical account, epistemological suggestions, and stages, which I wrote with Professor Lekas, and it is about the analytic method. And you really should read it in order to understand. See, this is Greek, but the article is in English. To understand what the analytic method is. You won't understand what the analytic method is, and you won't understand why the distal method is different if you don't know the methodology it's based on. Okay, so moving on. So this is the methodology plus the analytic method. And we will see, of course, examples when I will say in later videos, and this is an application of the analytic method. Okay, you will see examples of how the analytic method works. Okay, in our case, it's how, for example, we develop the motor skills model and the physical conditioning model. It's based on the analytic method. So exactly what we have seen here If we apply it to tennis, then we have the method. So, δομή is similar to, is analogous to the technique, the abstract archetype of the technique, the diagrams of the technique, the mathematical models of technique. Okay, not how a player plays, but of the abstract archetype of technique. Let's say technique on a paper. Δομική is analogous to the practice models. So Distal method has practice models. It has models like the model for motor skills development and the model for physical conditioning, which correspond to δομική. And why do we have practice models? Because the methodology said we should have. Because the methodology said we should have something to cover this thing, δομική. So we have practice models. The methodology said we should have something for δόμηση, for structuring the technique, for how we should construct δομή in reality. Okay, how we should do δομή actually, how we should do δομική actually. So we have practice schedules. Practice schedules are such as, for example, okay, random practice, serial practice, blocked practice, and many other schedules. And then, of course, we have δόμημα, which is the final material construction, what I can hold in my hands or what I can see in a performance, for example. And this is, of course, the game of tennis. So let's move on to the second part of this video, where we will see some things more technical written on specific papers.